This episode of this Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey is brought to you by energy healer Jean Border's personal, powerful transformation program. Know you're leaving money on the table, but can't figure out how to bring it in? Need to double your productivity and profitability? Need an extra push to get things moving in the right direction? Visit www.focusedpracticaldreamer.com/transformation now and apply for a business consultation with Jean. Welcome to the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey, where we take out your emotional baggage and heal your emotional body so you get to enjoy the success you desire and deserve. Prepare to feel a sense of relief and empowerment as we get rid of the baggage you've been carrying that's held up your business success up until now. Be sure to visit our website at www.focusedpracticaldreamer.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, lean in, get comfortable, and prepare to take off.
Hello, everyone. This is Jean Border, your host for the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey podcast. I want to welcome everyone here today. You've been sticking around with me for quite a while, and I really appreciate it. Before we get started, I've had quite a few clients be a little bit, I'll say, tense about the economic situation lately. So I've created something to help you out. If you want to take advantage, just go to jeanborder.com/vow, V-O-W, and download that. Take advantage. I hope it helps you. I'd love to hear your feedback on it. But it's meant to help you relieve a little bit of the internal stress you're feeling about the money situation in the world right now, okay? And on that note, we're going to go to somebody who will definitely help you relieve your stress. I think he's hilarious. This is my friend Wayne Pratt. We just seem to show up on different networking venues all over the internet. So it was about time he came on the show and you guys got to enjoy his humor also. Hi, Wayne. How are you?
I'm great, Jean.
Cool.
I can tell by your smile you're in a good mood.
Oh, yeah. Always. Well, sometimes more than others. But right now, you make me smile. So that's where I am. Wayne's coming to us from Canada. So we have another international guest today. So Wayne is a life coach. But like I said, he uses humor. He has a whole lot of tools and resources that I think would be of interest to our listeners. So Wayne, take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Cool. Well, I live in a town called Kingston, Ontario. I'm 60 years old. I am happily married to my beautiful wife, Elizabeth. I live on a lake. I have one daughter, 25, named Bethany. I've been around sales a very, very long time. And I always used to take these motivational courses, and I get all ginned up and all excited. And I'd walk into the hotel, and the guy jumps out in a $5,000 suit, and he gives me DVDs and a vinyl notebook, and I get all excited, and I do the tests, and I do the trust falls. 4 o'clock comes, I go to the same job, the same dog, the same house, the same life, and I realized motivational training on its own is broken. And that is when I got into coaching, so I could actually run the ball with them down the field.
I totally agree. It's great to get your energy high, but if you leave the venue and slowly your energy sort of seeps out of you, and if you have no way to maintain that or to get it back, it's almost like this self-defeating cycle where you go to another event and you get all excited and then you go back to life. And then you go to another event and you spend a lot of money on all the things. And then you go home and you don't actually use all the things. They just sit there, right?
Self-help.
Yeah. And I have so many. Now, I try to use some. This is just my philosophy. But if I take a course, if I take a class, if I go to a motivational thing and I get a really good nugget out of it, that's really all I can ask. That's my view on it, because I've gone to so many and they didn't hold. So I use it as a learning opportunity to pick up something that's actually useful for me right now, today, to help improve my life, my business, my relationships, my income, whatever it is, right? But having somebody there to kind of keep you on track is almost worth more than all the motivational things you go to. Because then they say, oh, but did you use that resource? Well, no. Well, why don't you use it between now and the next time we talk, and then we'll talk about it, So it helps keep you focused. That's my take anyway. You may think differently, but that's my take.
That's pretty close to me.
So how did you get from being a motivational junkie, I'll call it, to being a coach? What was the journey like for you?
I was working for a credit union in Kingston, and my protege and protector retired. And they called me into the office and said, we're not going to fire you, but you're red circled. You're going nowhere. And I started to look. I mean, I'd always gotten an inbox full of offers, and one came across, would you like to be a life coach? And I felt I had been doing it for a very long time, babysitting clients and listening to their stories. So it only made sense to jump the leap, get certified. I'll tell you more about that in a bit, but that's now been a 10-year journey.
So when you were first leaving your very secure job and moving into this sometimes uncertain world of being your own boss and creating your own business and being a life coach to all these people, when that wasn't your background before, what came up for you that you had to work through that our listeners might also have to work through if they're just, young in their business?
Cool. Well, one thing that this refocus, whatever you want to call the pandemic, did is, unless you own your job, you're renting. And whether that's you're in corporate, if you can be fired, you can be fired. So people, that security is also usually quite ephemeral. It's a little fake. That's a good answer. Work with me.
But security is something that we really crave, Some of us who go to these, I had a 36-year career with the U.S. federal government. And a lot of that was, I was single female, divorced. I knew I had to take care of myself. I had to provide my income. I had to provide for my insurance. I had to provide for my retirement. So I needed that security. And a lot of people need that.
I agree with your point. Security is incredibly important. It's very helpful if it's a real security instead of a believed security. I think, as I said, the last 3 years have taught us that people are a lot less secure than they thought they were. But something you already know, and in your energy work, there are internal and external locus of control. Fundamentally, the most secure is controlling who you are and what you do. Can it be for a company? Yes. Can it be big for a big company? Yes. But if you have an internal locus of control, then you're truly secure.
Yeah, I think that so much of the world is not so internally secure. I'll say it that way, right?
Correct.
We look for external proof that we're okay, that we'll be okay.
And I think, and I don't know if it's politically correct, I think we've indoctrinated women to feel more looking for external locus. So some of that, I think, is because we've taught women wrong.
Well, some of it is, there is a difference between the way guys and girls in general, not individually, but in general, relate to the world. We, rightly or wrongly, we expect the guys to be the strength.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times the provider of security,
mm-hmm.
right? Sometimes that's financial security. Sometimes it's emotional security. Sometimes it's physical security.
All true.
But still, we look to the male as the provider of security in a lot of ways.
And based on the whole biology, women have to be the nurturers. So, they're anywhere responsible from 0 to 16 anyway for these young people.
Yeah.
So I do get that. I do.
Yep. But when I in particular, I switched from the very steady paycheck, if you will. I knew it was coming. Now, yes, were there layoffs? We call them downsizing, right? That kind of thing, whatever. Absolutely. But the longer you were there, the less likely it was that you would be on the chopping block, because the newest was typically the group that would be let go first, right?
Correct. Yep.
But then when I moved from that into this, well, I'm responsible for creating all the income for my new business. And I've never done that before. And I've never worked in sales, because I used to come in from a position of power in my old position, where people would automatically respect the position. And so I was given power that way. But when you go into business for yourself, you have no background yet, right?
Both scary and exhilarating, right?
Yes, because you have total control. But then you have to set boundaries, because it's so easy to get out of balance. Why did you go into business in the first place? So you could determine what your life would be.
Or at least hope you did.
Yeah, but that's the thought, right? But then I need to make money any way I can. Well, no, that's not a healthy way of looking at it, but that's so easy to fall back on, right?
Something you said earlier that I think is incredibly worth unpacking is you have a resource called Gene Border Vows. And I haven't even seen it, but I am amazed, and you've done that as you work, how many vows people have taken that they've long forgot that their soul still owns.
Exactly.
And these need to be broken and then make new vows that are a lot more useful for you.
And since we're talking about money, a very obvious one is, and it's pushed in religion a little bit, but people take it to extremes, is this vow of poverty, right?
Yep.
I shouldn't have much money, because then I wouldn't be Christ-like. Well, he didn't give away money.
Which, by the way, is incredibly bad quoting of theology.
Yeah.
He didn't say that money is evil. He said the worship of money was evil.
Yeah.
Totally different place.
You can use money for such good,
And I'm sorry I interrupted.
No. I totally agree with you. That's one of my pet peeves. Some of my clients that have come to me are so enmeshed, and I'm not picking on a religion, but part of the Catholic mindset is sacrifice, right? And so I had one client that sacrificed herself so much to her family, to her children, that she wouldn't even take time for self-hygiene, because that was not okay in her mind. That was focusing on herself, which was bad. She would do enough to make herself presentable to the world, but not to actually take care of her. And that's this vow of servitude, right? Making everyone else more important than I am, giving them more of a position of power where all I can do is take care of everyone else. That's my role. That's what I'm here to. The vow that I took, that's why I'm here on this earth, is to take care of everyone else. But if you don't take care of yourself, at some point, you run out of ways to be able to take care of someone else. All these interesting vows we come up with,
Yes. And the other thing is, you brought it up, so I really believe in servant leaders, where you bring out the very best in you, and you're a servant. And a lot of people want to try to fall into one or the other ditch. And so I know what you speak, and I'm not here to plug somebody else's work, but John Maxwell speaks a lot about this.
I think it's very important that we understand how our actions impact our families and the people around us. What are we teaching our children if we pay no attention to our own well-being?
Yes.
But we're very focused on helping them, but never receiving. There has to be a balance. In order to be able to give more, you have to be willing to receive so that you can take it and repurpose and send it back out. So there's always this flow of coming in and going out. If all you're doing is bringing it in and not helping others, that's not a good balance either. Some people, that's where the whole rich people are greedy and rich people are bad. Well, some rich people are greedy. Some poor people are really bad. The money is just a thing. It's just an energy. It just allows you to be more of what you are. That's all. If you are a good
amplifier.
It's an amplifier. There you go. If you don't have enough money and you're always tense, well, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay my bills? That comes across to the people around you. You're spreading tension to your family.
Yep.
If, on the other hand, well, as money comes to me, $1 out of every $10, I'm going to help somebody else. So I need more $10 coming in so I can send out more $1, right?
Yes.
If it stops coming in, you stop sending out. So how does that help the world if you have no money coming in? But people have interesting experiences where they build up their belief systems.
Yes, I happen to agree with you.
So when people come to you with these kind of things,
yeah,
what do you do?
Well, the one thing that really surprised me about coaching was my biggest misunderstanding is it wasn't consulting. The first year, I heard 2 words from my mentors: shut up and listen, shut up and listen, shut up and listen. They have the answers, not you. Your job is to bring it out. And interestingly enough, because of your own wiring, there's also a divinity that can be involved to help bring these answers out. But that's a whole different podcast.
Yeah. I'm an energy healer, right? That's what I do. However, because of my background in leadership and coaching and mentoring and all that, it morphed from just being an energy healer to being an energy healer / coach.
Yep.
Right? Because it's just the natural progression of how things work. But as a coach, I ask questions. And sometimes the questions seem in left field, but it's to open up possibilities in the brain. Because people get so stuck in what they thought was true and there's no way out. Well, yeah, there is.
Mm-hmm.
But you've shut yourself down to this narrow path when there's a highway 2 feet away from you that you could be on speeding, right? So I don't know their business, and I'm very honest with them. I don't know your business. Maybe this is weird. So what about this? What if you did that? And really, some of these are just off-the-wall suggestions, but it gets them thinking, well, why didn't I explore something else?
Yeah.
So I really love the idea of a coach getting their clients, allowing their clients to look at things from a different way.
Right.
Because you're right. We all have different experiences. I don't know their business, but I know what questions to ask to get them to think about how things work in their or around their business, right?
Well, then one nice thing about having a coaching client is at some level they've already proved to themselves what they're doing isn't working.
Yeah.
So we've got that in our back pocket.
Yep. Yeah. And that's, people ask you all the time, well, if you want to grow your business, decide who your ideal client is and talk to them. My ideal client is somebody who wants to do the work.
Yep.
Because if people come to me and they're not ready, then I'm not their person.
Actually, I have to tell you, whether I think now they call it a defiant disorder, where if somebody tells you something, that's the exact thing you won't do. But I find that I can really dial in and really engage when I am being coached, and I can mentally cross my shoulders and say, 40 minutes from now is coming. Bye.
That's hilarious. So when you work with clients,
Yep.
what's the most annoying thing that comes up for you?
Oh, I love this. I actually asked that question. So yes, the thing that this might be worse in Canada than the States. I don't know, but there are people that believe they bought a license to moan and complain.
That's
So
everywhere.
they're actually they really want to state and state and state and state, but they don't want to look underneath to actually change things. So if you've come at me some three weeks in a row with the same problem and no results, and I couldn't, and I fire them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never heard anybody say that before.
Yep. Now, if they tried something and had a roadblock and then reevaluated, I'm there till the cows come home. But if they're just, use Alexa. She'll listen to you complain.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I have pretty much a set, I'm sure we all do, a set little formula that I work with my clients. And the first one is tell me what you noticed after our last time together. So that gets them back in the mindset of where we were, making progress, right? So it already sets them up to think about how they've progressed over the last period of time. And then go ahead.
It isn't what we were talking about, but I usually know who got to them. I can tell them who's had a conversation with them that talked them out of making headway. Sometimes they even mention names. And what do you mean? Well, here's what you did, and here's when you did it. Yes, and they had to go, yeah, I did that.
You have some long-term clients, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. That's another thing I enjoy about this. I have some really, clients that have been with me almost since I started, the business. But go ahead.
Something I don't do as well as I would like is they come to me with a problem, and we usually work it through in about 90 days. And then they either have to give me another problem that we can work on, or we have to work on them for them to become more of who they are. But a lot of them don't see anything between getting something fixed and becoming all they can be. And that makes me sad, and I'm not totally sure what to do about it.
Give me more information.
Well, Jim Rohn is the best teacher I run into. He's dead now. And he said, don't always aim for goals that are slightly outside your reach. The goal is not the money or the car. The goal is who you'll become in getting the money and the car. I want them to be more as well as have more. And that takes a certain mindset that not everyone is ready for in this transactional culture.
And that's my ideal client. And it sounds like that's your ideal client. But there are times when we pick up clients that really aren't great fit,
That's true.
We still have to do our best with them. But also we have to hope that they understand at some point that we're not their best fit.
In my last 10 years, there have been times when there's been a scale. And one scale says, I'm not doing all I could do for this person, and MasterCard wants $100 tomorrow.
Yeah. And that happens a lot when people are just starting their business. Necessity. You need money to pay the bills. And that is a valid point. And as we're growing our business, sometimes we have to take on clients that in a perfect world, we would refer elsewhere. But we do our best with those clients or with that business entity, whatever our small business happens to be. But we learn as we go, and we shift our marketing towards the people who are better fits for us, and they start coming in.
Yes.
Because that's our focus, and that's what we draw towards us.
Yes. One thing, I don't know that fits here. You're obviously aware of The Secret. Amazing book. And obviously, I'm a Jack Canfield trainer, so I'm more
I
into it
didn't
than
know
both.
that.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're podcasting with each other.
Oh,
Yes, I'm a certified Jack Canfield trainer.
oh, cool.
But the misunderstandings of manifesting would be way more fun if I could cross my legs and go lemma, 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 and the Mercedes appeared. It would be wonderful.
Yep. But there has to be some action, you know?
That is in the law of attraction, the last 6 letters.
Yeah, it is very interesting that I also do energy work based on energy centers in the body, right? And even something as basic as which fingers you use affect the energy centers in your body. So you can be very create more spiritual energy by, doing this, but you're not activating your lower chakras, which is where the security and all this other stuff comes in. So when you're first learning all these things, you don't necessarily understand the nuances of what you're doing. So you're doing your best, but without somebody to help you through it, you miss maybe the important parts, like taking action, right?
One thing that I am not is subtle. I had a client ask me if I ever actually used the word nuance.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's funny. So do you use metrics at all? How do you work with clients? How do they know whether they're being successful, whether they're making progress?
This is so hard. And I had a breakthrough a week ago. One of the clients I enjoyed the most, it seemed like we were on an autopilot. So I actually released him and I said, I don't know that we're making headway. I don't think I'm helping you. Well, one of the things I had told him in one meeting was he wanted an Apple Watch. This man was a $100,000 a year real estate producer, and that's net, not gross. So it wasn't he couldn't buy anything he wanted. But I suggested, in order to make it guilt-free, make it a goal. And I got 6 months later, I got a Facebook message from his people, like from his Facebook, that said a business coach he had been working with told him about this process of making a goal and that his business had flown better and that he was more motivated. He's holding up his watch. And I'm going, wow, sometimes you just have to be patient.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so, yes, I do metrics. I wish we did them better. Man, I wish they taught you that in coaching school. But basically, here's what we talked about. How did you do it? But I would love to get them looking at a year instead of a month.
I really enjoy my long-term clients because I can see progression.
Yes.
Right. Now, I'm an energy healer. So a lot of people come to me for fix me now.
Yep.
Right. And sometimes that's possible.
Yep.
Sometimes it's just, this is what's going on. But other times it's a process because things happen and then something else builds on that and something builds on that. And by the time they come to me, it's a whole big deal. Right.
Yep. Yep.
Because I'm not really cheap. I'm not, super expensive, but I'm not cheap to work with. You have to want to work with me, right? So by the time they come to me, they've got some more complex issues that we have to work through. So sometimes it takes longer. But the business people I really enjoy because business has always got new issues, so I can always help them work through new stuff. Some of my clients, I get such interesting stories working with clients. Some of them I can tell and some of them I can't, but
something that you alluded to that I will bring back up is I actually do ask them to remember that when you did this, did you get that? And when you got that, did that get you closer to this? So there are times where I have to review with them the goals they have achieved. And I don't do it as well as I'd like because I'd like to do it every time. I would love to actually have them go to a spreadsheet so they could actually check.
There are some coaches that do that.
Yeah.
Before every session, you have to send in your form. What happened over the last week? What is our topic for this week? So both sides are prepped before they ever get on the call. The coach and the client are both prepped and mentally ready for the call. So some people do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of them. I
wouldn't fill in my own forms.
Well, see, and that's a certain type of client, right? That's their ideal client, is one who wants to sit there and write it all out and send it in and email it in or whatever. That's not the way I want to work. I want to work with the client during the time slot, right? I don't want to have to work with the client outside the time slot because that's not my business model.
Yep.
So
one thing that I would love to see, and it might be happening more in the States, it's not happening here. We are in an industry of cowboys. Yes. So that we spend too much of our time marketing to get clients. I would have a totally different rate if I had 5 hours a day, 4 days a week. I never called a client, never sent a bill. I just did the coaching and did a report and hit send. That I would love to see someone else paid to be my marketer administrator, like a dentist's office. Dentists have like half a dozen professionals. That is my one dream. I don't know why I brought it up, but that is my one dream, is to run a coaching business like a dentist's office.
Well, that's a cool business model though, right? So I have clients who are going through that process. When do they hire a VA, right? When is social media taking over their life and they're not focusing on their business because they're focusing on, well, did I post here? Should I post there? How many times have I responded? I need to, that's, you're not in your zone of genius. Somebody loves to do that stuff. That's not you and that's not me. I'll tell you that. I do what I do.
Tragedy. So you hit on something. I assume I think it was a Pat somebody, but the whole idea of a zone of genius, to actually work in that. Most of us we have genius, we can do sort of, and then we can't do under any situations, but it still has to be done. If I could live, and I mean, I'm a coach, I'm sharing here. If I could live in my zone of genius 90% of the time, I also would be a happier cowboy.
Totally agree. Unfortunately, we have to learn stuff as we're coming into our ideal business, because we have to figure out what we like to do and what we don't like to do, what we're good at doing and what we're okay at doing, right? What we really need to pay somebody to do, or what we eventually need to pay somebody to do, but not quite yet because we don't have the income coming in, right? So there's a lot of little things that you have to work through, but it's also important to do them in the right order.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've never done it before, you don't know what that is. So much uncertainty in starting a new business, but I think it's worth it. I really enjoy what I do.
Yes. Here's where you ask me a deeply transformative question, Jean.
Okay, so here's a deep, deep question. My listeners are small business owners.
Yep.
People moving into that space, maybe solopreneurs. People who just want to go there, but they're still working because they still need the security of that paycheck.
Yep. I call them bivocational.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. What's the first word of advice you'd give them?
Literally go to a mall, to one of these print your own embroidery stores, and have 2 hats made. And one says the name of your company, the name of their company, the one that pays you, and the other one that's your company if you have a logo, or just says boss on it. And when you're wearing your hat, you actually put on your boss's hat.
Oh, that's cool.
For $12, it's just a great gimmick.
That's cool. Well, it's a mindset shift also that happens,
Correct.
right? When you're working for somebody else, you're being paid to be your best.
Yes.
And to be on.
Yes.
And to be your best ethical, moral, productive self that you can be to represent that company, that firm, that organization, that nonprofit, whatever it is. But when you're your own boss, it's a different hat. And you have to put your best foot forward, just like you would expect an employee. You have to be your best representation of the business you're creating.
Yes. That was a gimmick I came up with that a couple of people have actually used, and it's actually helpful.
Cool. That's really cool. I'll have to think through that. So many times I'm an information junkie, that's how it is. I take classes on everything. And I try to get, like I said, some kind of, I'm drawn to them for some reason. So there's some piece of information in there I'm supposed to have.
Yep.
So I do my best to find it. But a lot of them, especially the higher ticket ones, will send you things, right?
Yep.
Like a plaque for your desk, a motivational plaque, or a motivational T-shirt. Now it has their logo on it, typically somewhere, or a coffee mug, that represents whatever it is they think that you're going to get out of their class, the result that you're going to see out of your class. So there's an energy, I think, that goes along with those things, that embroidered hat, that coffee mug that says you're brave, you're bold, whatever it is. You're rocking business is one company's little motto thing. I think that has value. So I'm going to have to think through that to see how I want to incorporate something like that into my business, because honestly, I don't. I mean, I have like notepads and business cards that everybody has, and Post-it notes with little motivational stuff with my website on it. But I don't have anything that would help my clients transform if they looked at it or wore it or intentionally stepped into it. So that's cool. I have to think through that. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. One of my bigger breakthroughs I have found, and I preach on this often, and I am so anti-New Year's Eve resolutions you can't even imagine. And what I talk about often is the danger, the toxicity of the should. You've got Practical Dreamer's Journey up there, and I find that most people, when they come to me, they have to get rid of a whole lot of things that they think are their dreams that aren't their dreams. They're their grandparents' dream, they're their first grade teacher's dream, they're an ex-wife's dream. And so that I actually, if you're living in should, you're putting in a half-hearted effort. So one of the things I try to do, and I know you do, especially using energy work, is have them crystallize what their actual dream is.
Yeah, I'm with you on the New Year's Eve resolution thing. What I do on every New Year's Day is I sit down and I do a review of the year before. I have different helps that I've gathered along the way. I have one from a Tony Robbins. I was part of Tony Robbins coaching. I didn't coach. I was coached, right? But this was, back in the early 2000s, way back when. But he had this New Year's thing that was that his coaches would give out. And you look back at the year before. What did I like about it? What brought me joy? What do I want to repeat in the next year?
I get all that.
What didn't I enjoy, and what would I like to move past, right? And then what, if I could think of goals for the next year, what might those be, and why do I want them? Who will be affected by them, right?
Yep.
So you're getting down to not, oh, I want a new Lamborghini, because trust me, I do. But why? What will they give me? That's the point, right? To be clear on what you want for the year, for yourself, for your family, for your business, but not set these, they used to say habits, it would take 14 days to create a new habit. Well, now it's up to almost more than 2 months. You have to do it daily for more than 2 months to start creating a habit, for new neural pathways to form and it to become automatic, right? And so 3 years from now, they'll probably say it takes 3.5 months. I mean, so everything changes. Nothing is really absolute in that world. But to be clear on what could I do with the money to buy a Lamborghini? Would I actually buy it? No, I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't. That's not my thing. I love fast cars. Trust me, I love, to use an old term, muscle cars. So many of the cars now, they just look, I'm sorry, they're little boxes. They don't look like anything. There's just no emotion to them. It's just transportation.
You
right?
brought it up, it has nothing to do with coaching.
Yep.
Name the muscle car.
Okay, I want a 57 vet. Okay? I want a 57 vet. I really enjoy I don't know if you were familiar with the Smokey and the Bandit car, 1977, black and gold Trans Am, Hearst T-top, screaming chicken on the hood. I had one of those, brand new off the lot. I loved it. But even that,
it had more juice than that you talked about.
Well, no, it didn't. It only had like 200 horses. That was when they were into, oh, the world's going to come to an end if we don't start, taking care of emissions. So the power started going down in the engines. So it wasn't as fast as I would like, but it was still good. It was 6.6 liter. Tell me why we're talking about all this stuff about cars, but I love them. So would I buy a Lamborghini or a Maserati? Probably not. I have other things I'd like to do with the money. I'm still a big traveler and I travel the world, and I would probably utilize the money for that, for more travels. But that's what juices me, and everybody's different, right? But the why is the important stuff. Why do I want the money? So I can take my family to Disney, which is coming up. So I can go to Australia, which I did this past year. So I can go to Antarctica, which I did this past year. See how my physiology changes? That's what we do with our clients. We figure out what juices them, what they really want to do, as opposed to working 80 hours a week because they need the money coming in. But why do you need the money coming in? Is that really serving you?
And we can't do this interview without shouting out to Simon Sinek, the inventor of the whole why speech. The guy really brought that home brilliantly, that we've all been on a hamster wheel and we never got to asking the why question. And no, I don't get a commission.
Well, see, I love Tony Robbins stuff because back in the day, that's when I started thinking about those kind of things, because I was enmeshed. He was one of the first motivational speakers that I really got into. I liked Wayne Dyer also. I liked his stuff.
Okay.
But it was
You really don't have to think about Dyer. Dyer isn't the guy that slaps you in the face. Tony slaps you in the face.
Yeah.
I don't have to read like 3 of his books to get it.
Yeah, the very first one of his seminars I went to was on finances, on money. It's called Wealth Mastery. I was in a job where I was making decent money and I didn't know what to do with it. I just learned on my own. My parents weren't. My dad was Air Force. He didn't have a huge amount of money. He always worked 2 jobs. My mom would go off to work, so we weren't a family of a lot of means. So when I had money coming in, I really hadn't been trained on what to do with it. So Tony Robbins had a wealth mastery class.
I remember the course.
Yeah.
One thing that is nice about me being on this podcast is I am clearly an expert. And I'll tell you what that means. An expert is from someone who is more than 100 kilometers away.
Oh, that's funny.
So if some people have gotten too familiar with you and you would like to actually break through with them, what one question could I answer that seems to keep coming up that I could hit them with because they heard it from somebody else?
That's a hard question.
It is.
And we just have dead air because I don't know the answer.
Yeah, but you have the ability to edit, so it's all good.
But I don't. These are one-take conversations, except for technology issues, which we had earlier. You tell me.
Okay. I have an almost photographic mind. And I found out I was a good reader, but I didn't like reading. But show me a picture of something and I get in it. And especially if you're an energy person, you can get the energy of a photograph or a site or an event or whatever. I would like people, they have to be mindful. They have to be able to convert to the now, or they're just dreamers. But I'd like them to actually smell the trees on the orchard in Hawaii or whatever, so that it was real when they were discouraged. That would be the one thing, is to get them to live both in the present, forget the past. It's good at educating, but that's it. So they have the present, they have to manage the present, but having them think in the future, whether it's next week or in a year. That would be my one drum banger.
So talk me through that. How does that work?
Okay. Our culture is designed to tell us how unhappy we are.
Yes.
When in watching TV, I'm a sucker for Lexus ads. So if something gets through that reticular filter, and an energy healer will be able to tell you about reticular filters, but if something gets through and you want something that's more than a wish, it's an actual dream, then in the goal to make it a plan, they have to taste it, they have to smell it, they have to feel it, and then they'll own it. And yes, that's a lot of my buddy Jack Canfield's work, Mr. Chicken Soup. But I also know that blocked energy can be released by having them change their mindset. So we can take it that way.
Yeah, getting people to feel what's going on in their bodies. There's something that there's an energy technique called the peace process, right? Mm-hmm. And so when someone gets really upset about something and you have them, okay, if I had to find this somewhere in your body, where would that be? Where do you feel something in your body? Some people say, oh, my stomach gets knotted up, or my throat's closing up, or something's beside my ear, right? And then you have them focus on that and just pay attention. Don't try to find the reasons for it. Just pay attention. Keep your focus on that and allow that blockage, if you will, to start to open up and release. Yep. Just being aware of what's going on, because so many times we stuff it down.
Yeah.
Until whatever is growing in us becomes so pressurized. It's like we're a pressure cooker and it's got to release somewhere. So people have, like explosions of anger or explosions of tears, whatever it is. Everybody's different, but being aware and being able to change your state is such a useful tool. And it's so simple, but we don't always utilize it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where a coach or energy healer or whatever comes into play to help you understand what the heck you're doing to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So we're coming up close to the end of our time together, but you have something, a resource for our listeners? Could you tell us about that?
I helped ghostwrite a book called The Start of Clarity, or now I forgot the book. I had a brain freeze. Yes, Start with Clarity.
See, I know a little bit about you.
There you go. And it is a good e-read, and it's free. If they send me an email, I'll send them an e-copy of the book. And it's a thick book, and you have to sort the chicken and spit out the bones, but it is a good place to start work on.
Cool. Is that what you kind of use as a basis for your clients, or?
Usually it's more my prospects. Once I own them, I actually like to put it in my own words, because some of this I didn't write. I wrote some of it, but not all of it. But to get them thinking and reading when I'm not there, the book's a good tool.
Cool. Very cool. So we'll have that link below in the notes. Okay. So you can just click on the link. It'll take you right to him.
Cool.
And you can find all you ever wanted to know about Wayne Pratt right here.
Yes.
So we've covered a lot of various things, but they all come down to personal growth.
Yes.
Are there any final words you might want to leave with our listeners about anything that comes to mind?
Be encouraged by the present by living in the possible.
I love that.
I just came up with it. I really like it.
I love that because I'm doing that all the time with my clients. What is possible, right? Because it's so easy to get tunnel vision and focus on the negative when there's so many other options out there if we open ourselves up to it and we allow it, right?
Great. It was a pleasure meeting you, Jean.
Yeah, you too. I'm so glad you came. See, everybody, I told you he's a hilarious guy. So I want to thank all my listeners for being here one more time. If you want to get in touch with me or get in touch with Wayne, our information is right below. I want to thank you once again for being here. This is your host, Jean Border, with the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey podcast. Until next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey, where we take out your emotional baggage and heal your emotional body so you get to enjoy the success you desire and deserve. Remember to visit our website at www.focusedpracticaldreamer.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey.